The U.S. Air Force's investigatory program was officially launched on January 2, 1948, under the code name of Project Sign. From the 243 cases studied, a report entitled An Estimate of the Situation was compiled by the Air Technical Intelligence Center. It concluded, flying saucers are probably real extraterrestrial spacecraft. Air Force Chief of Staff Hoyt Vandenberg found these conclusions unacceptable. He then ordered the Air Force to go out and find more earthly explanations. Project Sign then metamorphosed into Project Grudge. 244 cases were studied. It concluded, most reports of unidentified flying objects have been the result of persons failing to identify familiar phenomena such as reflections from bright surfaces in the day or lights in a night sky. In 1952, it finally became known as Project Blue Book. By now, the information gathered was being divided. That which was difficult to disprove disappeared, while sightings easily dismissed were made public. On February 28, 1960, the first director of the CIA, Roscoe H. Hillenkotter, broke his silence in a statement published in the New York Times.
He declared, "It is time for the truth to be brought out in open congressional hearings. Behind the scenes, high-ranking Air Force officers are soberly concerned about the UFOs. But through official secrecy and ridicule, many citizens are led to believe the unknown flying objects are nonsense." He charged that to hide the facts, the Air Force has silenced its personnel through the issuance of a regulation.
This was a secret time. America was obsessed with anti-communist sentiment, and there was great paranoia.
To look on the brutal face of communism, Union Square in New York was the backdrop for these scenes of red violence. From their ranks will come the saboteurs, spies, and subversives should World War III be forced upon America.
In addition to this, Orson Welles had demonstrated 20 years earlier just how gullible Americans were and how easily the public stampeded with fatal results.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have a grave announcement to make. Incredible as it may seem, both the observations of science and the evidence of our eyes lead to the inescapable assumption that those strange beings who landed in the Jersey farmlands tonight are the vanguard of an invading army from the planet Mars.
It wasn't only America. In Europe, the military presence was under the direction of NATO SHAPE. SHAPE was tracking a large number of UFOs on radar flying at high altitudes and great speeds over Central Europe and disappearing to the north. Their activities generated concern among military commanders as a possible threat from Russia. However, repeated demonstrations of advanced technology by these objects made it very clear to military authorities that these capabilities were far beyond anything that we or the Soviets had. At that point, SHAPE headquarters launched a 3-year investigation to determine what these objects were. Their conclusions are still classified today. Robert Dean, former intelligence analyst at SHAPE, claims to have seen the report at NATO headquarters during the early 1960s. It was entitled An Assessment.
After all the material had been collected, they brought it together and they wrote the final report with all of the appendices and annexes. Then, at that time, they made a determination and a recommendation to General Lemnitzer, the American four-star general that I worked for. And they suggested, this is so sensitive, this reality is so delicate, the conclusions that we have reached, we believe, could be essentially and substantially earth-shaking to the people unless they're prepared for it. We believe at this point that this should be given the highest classification NATO has. At that time was and still is cosmic top secret.
Evidently, not everyone agreed. While still in Congress, Gerald Ford sent a letter to L. Mendel Rivers, chairman of the Armed Services Committee, on March 28, 1966.
I strongly recommend that there be a committee investigation of the UFO phenomena. I think we owe it to the people to establish credibility regarding UFOs and to produce the greatest possible enlightenment on this subject.
In 1966, congressional hearings were held with Secretary of Defense Harold Brown and scientific advisor of Project Blue Book, Dr. J. Allen Hynek.
What is the Air Force hiding in this investigation?
We have not been hiding anything. The investigations have been made public. The explanations of those where there is a clear explanation have been made public. The hearing this morning was public for just that reason.
None of the evidence that I have examined would indicate any proof at all that we are being visited by extraterrestrials.
Dr. J. Allen Hynek is one of the most important figures in this matter. As a senior government representative, he faithfully continued to dismiss all UFO sightings as swamp gas, mass hallucinations, temperature inversions, and conventional aircraft until Blue Book was terminated in 1969. However, 4 years later, he founded the Center for UFO Studies, which is still active today. In 1985, shortly before his death, he revealed that Project Blue Book had indeed misled the public.
I was there at Blue Book, and I know the job they had. They were told not to excite the public. Don't rock the boat. And I saw it in my own eyes happen that whenever a case happened that they could explain, which is quite a few, they made point of that and let that out to the media. Things that the cases that were very difficult to explain, they would jump handsprings to keep the media away from it. For they had a job to do, to, whether rightfully or wrongly, to keep the public from getting excited.
In December of 1984, a roll of unexposed film arrived by mail at the home of TV producer Jamie Chanderay. The contents revealed the existence of a super-secret committee formed in late 1947 to deal with the wreckage recovered near Roswell, New Mexico. Operation Majestic 12. The Majestic 12 were highly accomplished men, 6 military and 6 civilian. Sworn to secrecy, they were to analyze the physical evidence and learn about the motives and ultimate intentions of the occupants. There has been no official recognition of the Majestic 12 Committee, and there is controversy regarding the authenticity of some of the documents. However, records were found to suggest the contrary. UFO investigators Bill Moore, Jamie Chanderay, and Stanton Friedman spent over 11 years searching through 17 archives. Sifting through a paper trail of over 250,000 pages of memos, flight logs, and letters, the researchers concluded that a super-secret committee did in fact exist.